Hi, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Gaia Project, the unofficial podcast about the board game Gaia Project. I am Matteo El Temblo. With me is Simone Molfo.
A very excited Simone today.
Yes, I bet you are, because I am too, because we're not alone this time. And with us, we have, I think, no offense for the others, but the most important guest of all time, because with us tonight is Helge Ostertag. Hello, Helge.
Hello. Nice for you to have me here in your podcast. I'm excited too.
Nice that you accepted our invitation. Yeah, I completely agree. Probably the most anticipated guest of this podcast up until now, right?
For sure. Okay, so Helge, well, we are, as you can imagine, a bit, not embarrassed, but surely excited to have you here.
Honored and confused.
Sure. Surely honored. Well, let me ask you again then, because I asked you before, but how are you doing? Are you fine tonight?
Yeah, I'm fine. I had a great day, and it's a good day to have this conversation, I think. I'm relaxed and I am anticipating it.
Great. Sounds like the best possible mood, so that's great to hear. Okay, so as you can imagine, we are going to talk a lot about Gaia Project. We have collected a few questions from our listeners, and well, also lots of them come directly from us.
Yeah, okay, let's be honest. We've been waiting to ask Helge questions since, 2017, since we started obsessively playing Gaia Project. So
yeah, more or less 2018 at least. Let me start with the first one, then I will leave you the other ones. So Gaia Project, this may sound weird, and I am sure that you have already answered to something like this in the past, but let's go back a bit in time. Terra Mystica was already there, and what was the reason?
And was already a great game.
It was already a great game, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But so what was the reason which led you and Jens, to whom we say a huge shout out for
heartfelt.
Jens? What was the reason for developing a Gaia Project? Because if you thought that changes or doing things better were necessary.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of feedback to Terra Mystica and a lot of enthusiastic comments, but there was one thing that occurred over and over again, and that was a complaint about the thematic setting. And a lot of players said, oh, terraforming, that should be a setting in science fiction. So we thought about that, and of course, we tested Terra Mystica quite a lot, but you can't play the game as often as all the players together do. And so we gathered a lot of feedback. There was the Snellman site, and data came up and showed us, okay, there are some imbalances. It was to be expected. There is no such thing like a perfect balance. So we thought, how could we, how will we handle this? And so we tried to bring the feedback about balance and also about the thematic need maybe for another theme. We thought about that a lot, and then we discussed, okay, let's do a follow-up game like a sequel. And so we started to work on that.
I think this is one the best possible answers that we could get, because it's totally not anticipated, the fact that there were background or setting that these elements were concerned with what moved you to create a Gaia Project.
This is also interesting, because a common critique towards Gaia Project I hear is that it's thematic. The theme is very thin. Somehow
I know where this comes from, and that's, I will say, it's the opposite between Euro gamers and American gamers. And American gamers, they have a great emphasis on theme, and the Euro games, they might originate from mechanics, but I can assure you it was the same thing already for Terra Mystica. I actually started with a theme, and out of this theme, I came into the mechanics, and when Jens joined the development of Terra Mystica, it was far progressed, and but the world was the first thing where I wanted to have this setting in, and maybe the mechanic of terraforming. But I started with theme, and then I thought about mechanics to bring this into a gaming world. But I think the expectations are quite different from I might say European gamers' viewpoint and an American gamers' viewpoint. So when I hear a theme is sim, I think it's people who are expecting to have like a book, like an epic book brought into a game, and there are a lot of chapters and there are a lot of storytelling elements. That's not part of the game. I know that, but we started with the theme actually. But then we used the theme to get into mechanics.
All right, that's beautiful. Thank you.
It is. Thanks. So up to date, what's the aspect of Gaia project, the element of Gaia project which you prefer, maybe in comparison with Terra Mystica?
Well, I think it's a little bit more open. Sometimes, especially for new players in Terra Mystica, they experience to be boxed in. If they had a bad start in the game, it could happen to you. You could be cut off. But actually, that's a part a lot of gamers or players actually prefer from Terra Mystica towards Gaia project. So Gaia project, there's always something you could do the whole game, even if you see you are not winning, but you're not completely cut off. That will never happen. You could always find a route around, and I think that's a good thing. That it's a little bit more open. And what I mainly or mostly like about Gaia project is the technologies, the research board. I think that's quite the biggest difference towards Terra Mystica.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mostly replayable that often. It's it adds a lot of replayability, and I think that's very good part of the game.
Sure. Yeah, I know that it is one of the elements that fascinated me the most when I first started play the game. So totally agreed, and the tech tracks and the tech tiles are really important, really interesting part of the game. And I also agree that in Gaia project you have this possibility of turning a game upside down. We have seen that happen many times. People having really bad starts and then scoring ending up scoring a lot of points anyways. So you spoke about balancing also with respect to Terra Mystica, and saying that there were after some years, I guess you got the idea the balancing of the game was not perfect, and as you said, it's basically impossible to have a perfect balancing in a game which has asymmetrical factions. But how did you proceed when you started beta testing the factions for Gaia project?
We had a far bigger pool of playtesters, and I don't know how long we playtested, but it was for a longer time period, and we started our own playtesters forum where we gathered the feedback, and so playtesting moved forward and backward, and then we met for a final playtesting session. We had like a meeting somewhere in the middle of Germany where a lot of German playtesters traveled to, and I think for 3 days we just played non-stop Gaia project on 4 tables maybe, and we had our internal high score. So like the players who were best, they had to play against each other, and we had like a ranking so that equal skilled players played against each other. And then I think we had 2 days of this, or the first day, and then we tried to have a closer look at some factions that were considered to be too strong, too weak, and did the final adjustments. So this is when the LANTIDS nerf happened, because they are actually a quite strong faction if they have a little bit too much. And after Terra Mystica Fire and Ice, we decided it's better to have a faction a little bit weaker than too strong to be overpowered. Better it's a niche faction than it's an overpowered faction. So that also happened there, and that was our approach towards playtesting. So we had a month of playtesting, and different meetings. And then we had this final meeting. It was organized by FIRAKS. So yeah, I think we had a far bigger playtester pool than before.
It shows that the game looks super polished and looks like it has been through a very thorough playtesting. So kudos for that, as for all the rest in general. But speaking about factions, you spoke about the nerf bat, which hit LANTIDS.
Yeah.
And, it's I don't know. I'm feeling like an inner conflict, because LANTIDS are my favorite faction, and now I have here both their creator and the man who doomed them to those 13 credit starts, and I really don't know what to feel. But
I must say, LANTIDS, the original faction design is mostly from Jens. He is the LANTIDS player, and every time we playtest, and we are now playtesting an expansion for Gaia project, he always wants to play LANTIDS. So these are by far his most favorite faction, and I'm not sure if it's me or him or even the publisher who decided we had to do this big nerf. It's too long ago. I can't recall exactly, but
no
it was a team decision, I think.
Okay, so
right. Because
I sleep well knowing that Jens will always be a defender for LANTIDS or whatever. But speaking about faction, Simone, you were saying.
No, I was just thinking that it's not the first time that I hear that, a designer's favorite faction is the one that in the end gets nerfed. I mean, we know of other games where this happened. And there is some people who feel that LANTIDS have been nerfed excessively. But so Jens does not agree with this. Jens is still going strong with his LANTIDS.
Yeah, well, for the upcoming expansion, we decided to give them a little boost again because, we now have statistics coming in from different sources, and also the general feedback was that nerfed too extremely, and I think we will do something against it.
All right, I think this is well deserved. And so I know, since we're speaking about factions, I know that there is a question that Matteo has been waiting to ask for years now. We all have, but Matteo in particular.
Okay.
So
okay.
I have to leave the floor to him for this one.
No, well, but no, in general, we collected different questions regarding how some faction got adjusted as they are, just out of curiosity. But my personal curiosity for years have been, why the extra ore to Itars? This I really cannot understand. And this is what I'm asking you now.
Yeah, I think they were one of the factions that also were at a tipping point. I think we tried out to have a higher cost for the burning of power tokens in the Gaia bow. I think we tried out with 5, and this didn't work out. And I think they were one of the factions we had to try out the most in the final testing phase. So maybe it is a result from that, because we played them for quite a long time with a 5 power tokens cost.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be that they were maybe a little bit too strong then. But time was running out at the end, and so I think that's a result of that, because I know they are one of the most powerful factions.
Yeah, well, things happen.
They could lose this, but once it was out in print, there was no taking back.
Yeah, of course. I think the joke goes that ore, the Itars, they stole it from the FIRAKS, because the FIRAKS have been nerfed with less ore. So we would need a Gaia Robin Hood who steals from the rich and gives to the poor.
The problem is with the playtesting, you have different skill playtesters. That will always be the case. And if there's one faction that is good in strong players' hands, and then you have a pool of playtesters, there are middle strong players, and they are not able to pull off a good game with Itars, for instance, and we keep statistics, and a lot of the statistics they follow the middle strong players. So Itars were ending up, I think, to be considered weaker than they actually are. It's the same thing with the FIRAKS. I think there was some players who were really good at playtesting them, and so they were considered too strong, and now they are very, very hard to play and very setup dependent. Yeah, if the game is on the market and we have statistics or feedback from a larger group of players, then we can see a different outcome, but that's just not possible. We don't have this kind of manpower to playtest it this extensively as it
sure.
It would be great if it was possible to, but so I think that's it's a good joke. I think the FIRAKS could use this ore.
Thanks a lot. Oh, and by the way, you can finally and once and for all confirm that FIRAKS is just fakirs with some letters inverted, right?
Yeah. No,
I knew that.
I'm not sure about that. No. I think I took it from. I can't recall exactly, but I think there was some faction in a science fiction movie somewhere where I took this name and worked a little bit with the sound of the name. I think where it came from, it was FIRA and X, and I changed it a little bit. So it ended up being an acronym of fakirs, which is funny.
It's fantastic.
It was not intended.
No, seriously, this is news. This is huge news for us. Okay, maybe last question, I think, about how the factions get to become what they are now, and this is specifically about a faction with which we have a special relationship, which are the BALTAKS.
Oh,
and it's just three curiosities. The first one is the academy, which gives you the button for 4 credits, was meant to avoid that they have an excessive number of QICs, I suppose, right?
Yeah. Otherwise, they were extremely strong in our playtest.
Okay, and the same goes for their peculiar power cycle.
With only 4 starting power.
Yeah,
they were one of the strongest factions in playtesting, and we had to be
down.
very careful to not make them too strong. Now they are very challenging to play, but you could have quite strong games with them, setup dependent, of course.
I see.
Yeah.
The third and the last question from me on this is very important, and there's a correct answer. So please focus. Do you think that right now BALTAKS are overall the worst faction of all?
No.
You killed me. Okay, satisfaction denied.
No. There are other factions that are, of course, much weaker.
Okay.
All right, but Helge doesn't know that this has been a recurring theme in our episodes, that we have been trying to convince people over and over again that BALTAKS are the worst faction in Gaia project. Now it is a mission that we have. But
no, you can't convince me. No.
Dang. Okay, I will cut this one then. But
edit this.
Maybe I can take another yes from this same.
Synthesize. You can synthesize Helge's voice.
What is the second weakest faction in your opinion?
That's a good question. I think in the faction rankings that we did, we had LANTIDS as the second weakest, Matteo.
Yes, we did. To date, I just think that LANTIDS are super niche because there are a very limited set of setups, sorry for the unintended pun, for them. When they are there, they're very strong. Recently I've been reconsidering a lot FIRAKS because it's very hard to both play them well, I mean, scoring as much as you can in order to win the game, without being super boxed by other players. I think you end up sacrificing too much with them, but it's just opinions shift, and that's great.
No, but I agree with these, and I think we said it a lot of time that we are biased towards FIRAK, because me and Matteo, we both love to play FIRAKs, but it is also true that we have to admit it's very, very hard to win with FIRAKs
to score,
in a competitive settings. Yeah.
I just have a group from Sweden who are helping me playtest the expansion. And their strongest player, he is particularly good with FIRAKS and managed to pull off a lot of wins with them. So, yeah, I think there are some players who really get how to play one faction. Let me tell you the episode about the engineers in Terra Mystica. They were considered to be a very weak faction at the beginning until more and more players figured out how to play them. And now they are one of the strongest factions. And I think, of course, it's a little bit different in Gaia project, but still, maybe there are some factions that have a steeper learning curve or took a longer time to learn how to play them a little bit better. I don't know. Okay, but I think FIRAKS are one of the more difficult factions and not so versatile like others.
Sure. In the end, I would say Xenos, because Xenos have both the ability and the problem that they are very versatile, but maybe this leads you not knowing on which direction to go, which is the right path for me now. I don't know, maybe I should go up the QIC track, maybe not. Maybe I should go up the navigation track, but this conflicts with the QICs. This is the problem I encounter when playing Xenos. Most of the times, but it could be. I think that in the end you're right. It depends on the player, because there are both play styles and personal preferences which grant you better results with one faction or with another. I don't know.
I find it interesting because I encounter different play styles, like in kind of group thinking, and it's particularly true for playtesting when we have fixed groups of playtesters, and in one group there's this play style, in the other group there's another play style, which is very interesting to see. And if you have a regular group where you mainly play your games, I think this kind of group thinking isn't that seldom. So yeah. Maybe that's true for some of the factions, that if you have a typical way to play, then you can't pull them off, maybe. I don't know.
Well, this brings me to a question. I agree with you. A meta is inevitably always created, no matter how big the group. So how do you interact? How do you deal with that? I mean, do you follow up on the meta of the games that you have created? Like, I think mainly through platforms such as Board Game Geeks, for instance. You referred to the fact that you had seen statistics recently for Gaia Project, and I don't know if you have been having a look at the statistics that Arun, that is a Roadrunner, has been publishing on Board Game Geek recently.
Yeah. I refer to these statistics. And I think he took it from this IO site where you can play Gaia project for the longest time now. Yeah. And when Terra Mystica was out there, and then Snellman did his implementation, we followed it very closely for the first years. Now, not any longer, but actually for the Fire and Ice expansion, we used the Snellman site. So we gathered these kind of statistics for Terra Mystica. It took some time. It's only recently that some statistics are available. So I don't know how much they will affect us. But for the expansion, I refer to all these statistics that were available, and also the feedback of how players that are active on Board Game Geek consider the strengths and weaknesses of factions. So yeah, that's what I do. I interact with the feedback that is public.
Great. Since we're talking about Arun, we have a couple of questions coming directly from him, and I would like to ask you those. But this one is very interesting, because it is, he starts by saying that to him, it feels like Gaia Project is the best a board game can be. And I just want to bring this to you. But this said, how does one go about building on it? How do you draw the line between, okay, this makes a lot of sense to add in, versus, okay, now it feels like I'm just adding in elements and mechanisms for the sake of it? And then he asks, how long did it take to design Gaia Project and or Terra Mystica?
Yeah, well, Terra Mystica took far longer because the first step started in the mid-90s. So I think somewhere else I talked about development time of about 12 years, but not constantly. There were bigger and smaller pauses in between, but still, I think that's about accurate, about 12 years. For Gaia Project, it was much faster because we had the game already, Terra Mystica's mechanics, where we could base it on. And so I think it was about 2 years, 2.5 years for Gaia Project. Yeah, I think that's about right. And
what about the design then? Okay, I want to add this, and okay, no, let's stop. It's fine now.
Yeah, well, I think you always have the option to add more and more and more. And I think the more interesting part is to leave things out and see how much is sufficient to have a good game. I think it was more in this direction. I can say it for Terra Mystica. There were far more buildings included in the beginning, and the game lasts longer and so on. And so for Gaia Project, I had this in mind already. So it was about keeping it as clean as possible, but also have new options. And well, I think the research tracks, yeah. But I if I recall correctly, it didn't take that much time actually to eliminate things. Most of the playtesting or of the designing on development time went into creating these different factions. So the rest, the basis like the sectors and the tech tree and so on.
Yep.
This was done quite quickly, I think, in comparison to the factions.
All right. Okay, enough with what happened with Gaia Project and what brought to its creation. So a question that we wanted to ask you is, well, this is related to what we were discussing before, your engagement with the community. So the question is, do you still play Gaia Project?
Oh yes, of course.
on a regular basis. Oh, okay, so you're like us, you never get bored.
It was just released on Board Game Arena, and me and my local group, we, since the pandemic, mostly met on Board Game Arena for our playing sessions. So we, of course, played it there. And once the digitized app was released, I also played it quite a lot, just to figure out how good the app actually was. And I think it's quite strong, far stronger than the Terra Mystica UI or app. Yeah. So yeah, I played quite a lot. But in real life, with persons on the table, this, I think this is a few years back since I last played it.
Okay.
Actually.
Are you after the boards, the meta, the community of gamers, or maybe you prefer to watch things from a distance? I think I know the answer because you basically answered me, but anyway.
Once the game is released, I'm interested in the feedback, and then I follow the threads on Board Game Geek, and so yeah, I observe what goes on in the community.
Thanks. And by the way, did the game take some directions that you weren't expecting?
Something that you didn't anticipate in terms of general strategies or strategies connected to a specific faction that you have seen done and you were expecting?
Yeah, well, it was interesting to see that Ambas were considered very strong in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Not any longer. I think they are okay, but not that strong. I'm a little bit astonished that Terrans are that good. Yeah, I thought they are beginner friendly, but they still seem a very, very popular faction, even amongst skilled players. So yeah, that was a surprise for me, I think.
Sure.
Yeah. I thought maybe there are other factions that were more interesting after some time, but yeah. And special direction, I can't say, because the statistics are still very fresh, and
Yes.
it's different than to Terra Mystica, where we have a few years already.
Yes.
And it's Terra Mystica tournament and so on. But I think with Board Game Arena, something like this will happen also, that we will see a league thing or a tournament style. It's very interesting to have a game out there where such a big community plays tournaments actually. And yeah, I'm very curious what will happen to the Gaia project in this regard.
Great. I think that the AMBAs have the problem that they maybe are beginner friendly, because you just first move, go to nav 2, and then you can expand, build up a bit. But their problem is the other side of the board, because if you pick brown, you'll say, okay, maybe I will pick AMBAs, or maybe I will just pick this incredibly super skilled faction which can do basically everything in the world. I don't know. For Terrans, I think it's because they're very layered, in my opinion, because you can just, I don't know, rush Gaia farming or navigation, or if you're more skilled, you can build up more, and they end up being very interesting, providing you have enough transdims, I suppose.
Yeah, the fact with Terrans is also that they excel at most main objectives in the game, and so this is probably one of the things that you know, that helped keeping them, you know, one of the top ranked factions, probably.
Okay. So last question, then I think we can talk about the expansion. What do you think?
Yes. What everybody's been waiting for.
Exactly. They will skip to this very moment. But there is one last thing that I really want to ask you, and it's this one. Because we players tend to be more or less obsessed by the very notion of balancing. Also, you before said that some factions were imbalanced, which is something that can happen for sure. But what's your idea of balancing? Because to me, it looks like Gaia project with its variable setup, and also Terra Mystica in a lower regard, because the map is fixed, but it's more or less the same. To each new game gives you a new imbalanced situation, which you have to read, and maybe big factions and make decision in order to take advantage of that imbalancing. But I don't know if this is the idea. How do you know? I mean, how can you tell that, say, Gleans are too weak or Taklons too strong?
I think Gaia project is an expert player's game in this regard, because before you start to play, actually, there already has to happen a lot of planning and strategizing pre-game or before the game. So you have to read the map, you have to read the complete setup from scoring objectives in-game and end-game, and all these booster tiles, and and also what is on the research track, what can I achieve, what do I have to do for this. And I think there is some possibility to balance out things by this. Also, we had this rule with the rotating sector tiles, which helps, but I think there will happen something like maybe sooner or later on Board Game Arena, that you have to do a bidding, an auction in the beginning to balance it further out. But the general problem is with these kind of games where you have different player powers, or player power variability. Of course, as a game, as a player, I wish it would be possible to have balanced factions, but then on the other hand, everyone wants to play these different abilities. So how can different things be balanced? That's I think that's it's like an unsolvable problem.
Yeah.
It can't be perfect balance. If you want different player powers, then there must be a difference. And if you have set up variability, then of course this will lead to this. So yeah, it would be great if it was possible, but I think ultimately you have to accept that there will always be some kind of imbalance if you want this wide range of variability. So yeah.
Sure. Sure.
Yep, agreed. But since we're talking about balancing the faction, possible balance of the factions, will the expansion help with that in some way?
Of course. I looked through these different threads talking about which factions are strong and which ones are weak and so on. And what I can tell you, the expansion comes as a whole package. So you can't just take some aspects and only play with the base game if you want to have rebalanced factions, that is. So there are elements that will help rebalance the factions, but they need to be played with the complete set of the expansion.
All right.
So yeah, we will address that.
Okay, great. So is that the main reason for designing in the first instance an expansion, or you just wanted to add some mechanics, some dynamics? I don't know.
Yeah, the main reason is to keep the game fresh. So maybe you noticed that the last expansion for Terra Mystica wasn't done by ourselves, but by two players who were very interested to develop this expansion. And one of them, he reached out to us and wanted to do something very similar for Gaia projects. And the publisher said, oh, yeah, maybe. And then we said, no, that's our game. And if there is to be an expansion, we will do it ourselves. So, yeah, that was one of the reasons. But the other reason was, I think the game is now long enough on the market and the time is ripe to have an expansion. But yeah, so I think it's not to rebalance was not the main focus, but of course it's a side product, I think. And yeah, so to add something new, something fresh, and to even add more replayability and some new factions, of course.
To be honest, I don't think that replayability to moment is an issue, because I think I have I have something like 300 games under my belt, and Simone more or less the same, if not more. But yeah, I realize where that comes from.
Yeah, and so what can you tell us about the new faction, the new components that is not under some, undisclosure agreement or something of the sort?
Yeah, we have reached the moment where we will just talk about portals, so that you know.
And we have a video conference. I will just show you this board.
Oh my God, guys, we are seeing these. You are not seeing these, but we are.
What you see here is the portal board. So the expansion will evolve around portals. We will have a different map layout where there will be small holes in between, and there will added new tiles, hex tiles, and some of them are portals. And you will be able to enter these portals. And from the base game, there are these QRC actions.
Yes.
Which are on the research track. They will be covered in the expansion, and you have to enter portals to do special actions like QRC actions and other power actions. So this is one part of the game. So there are new kind of interactions with map and action spaces. And then we have new sectors, so-called edge sectors, smaller sectors, and they will be outside the main map. So they will always be far away from the center. And there are some scoring abilities, and some of the factions, they are specialized on new types of planets. We have asteroids and gas planets, and you will find them on these edge sectors, as well as some of the new hex tiles to be added in the holes in the map. Yeah, we will have 4 new factions.
Are the mission boards still in? Because I read something from the preview you gave on BGG.
No, we kicked them out again. The extension developed further, and they are now no longer needed. It was a step in between, but once they were out, the expansion was smoother and more elegant to play. And,
all right. Awesome.
So what happens most, I'll show it again to you so you get more of an idea. You have these alpha, beta, gamma, delta portals, and each has like 3 different action spaces. And then once you're in a portal, you gain access to additional technology spaces. So if you want to build a lab, for instance, you could use the technology found inside a portal. And there are also places for portal federation. So once you entered a portal and you form a federation, you could also take one of these, but they are just once there available. So they are special federations. You are aiming to get them, but of course it's a race again. And we have one portal, it's the beta portal. We have these 4 spaces where you can find artifacts, like alien artifacts. And as you can see, you need to sacrifice power tokens at the cost of 6.
Yes.
And then
6 power tokens.
Take one of these, and there will be sets of artifacts, so there will always be some kind of variability. Yeah, and the game opens up for a lot of new routes to take and a creative play style, because you could follow up just far more strategies than in the base game now.
I want this so bad.
I want it now. I cannot wait.
I want this so bad.
And,
no, but it's still developing, right?
Of course, we add new stuff like new round boosters, new endgame scorings, and new round scorings. This is my favorite new round booster. It gives you an income of 3 power.
You charge 3.
Action. And this action is instant Gaia forming. So you instantly
transform a
transdimensional planet into a Gaia planet, and you don't need power tokens to sacrifice for it. So that's a powerful action and opens up for very new strategies. And it's very interesting to take this tile.
Right, my life has been changed forever. Like I won't be able to look at the world with the same eyes now that I know that this exists.
Yeah.
But you need to have the appropriate level, at least one in Gaia forming, or it
of course, you need a Gaia former to be able to do it.
Okay, you need one. Okay, great.
Yeah.
This will
No,
this will power up BALTAKS a bit, which I don't like. Anyway, okay, awesome. Is there going to be a round scoring bonus for research labs? Because there isn't one. So, okay, he's getting it. I suppose there. Okay, it's going to be 4 points for
4 points for a research lab and 3 points for
mine.
This one is if you enter or colonize a planet in a new sector, in a sector you haven't been in so far.
I see.
This is so interesting. 3 points
Big
for
sectors
each.
and also the small edge sectors.
This is super interesting.
Yep.
Super interesting.
And
also,
our playtesting group suggested to make terraforming strong again. That was the exact phrasing. So I think we will add another of this one.
Whoa!
Yes, we love this. We were so hoping for this. Guys, this is 3 points for each
3 points
step.
for step.
Yeah. Which could lead to a game where terraforming could be quite important if it's twice in the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. The one thing you remember, Matteo, the one thing we were always saying when we were still playing live with our traditional gaming group is that in the same way that Gaia forming factions have 2 round scoring objectives dedicated to them, then terraforming faction deserve 1 too. And now we got this.
Yeah.
So happy.
My favorite endgame objective.
The greatest distance between your planetary institute and an academy, both academies?
One academy, one of your 2 academies.
Yes. I like this one too. I think positional objectives are the funniest in Gaia project. So this is a very welcome addition.
Yeah, there's new stuff happening, and maybe just one glimpse at one of these new factions that could be funny. look at their name.
The space giants. That was the next question about the 4 new factions. This is
Space giants, and as you can see, they start with just 1 mine on a gas planet.
Uh-huh.
oh,
We
so
have 2 new types of planets, like asteroids and gas planets, and yeah. So they why are they called space giants? They have this action space available, which means they can once per turn do a double dig. But
they indeed are the giants of Terra Mystica in Gaia.
And of course, every planet type costs them to terraform. Sure. But they are strong, and they don't need the Planetary Institute to perform this, so they just have this action available, which makes them a little more versatile than the giants in Terra Mystica. Yeah. So we have 2 different new planet types: gas planet, asteroids, and 2 faction boards. So double-sided, and yeah.
Which are the new colors going to be, by the way? Do you already know? Maybe not.
I think we will take maybe like turquoise, something like this, like this for gas planets, maybe.
Nice.
Or it could be pink, maybe. I'm not sure. It's a publisher's decision, and
+1 for pink from me.
And for the other faction, I think for asteroids it could be black. We don't have black.
I see.
I'm not sure. A publisher will decide.
Okay. Can you tell us something about, since we're here, Darkanians, Tinkeroids, and Guardians?
Yeah, we have. Okay, I talked about space giants. We have Guardians. We have these portals. No, actually, we have this portal board, and Guardians are a faction that start already with a presence in one of these portals. So, like, they are guarding this portal. So that's their special treat, and they actually are still in the making. There are some changes to happen. We have Tinkeroids. They have a very interesting Planetary Institute. They have this special action. It means they choose each round one of their 6 Tinkerer tiles. So the special action for the Planetary Institute changes for each round. And they have 6 different actions, and they are divided into rounds 1 to 3 and rounds 4 to 6. So the stronger ones will come later in the game, and before a round they have to decide which actions to take. So it's like they have an additional round booster in some way. Yeah, fun to play. I like them very much. They're interesting and very different. And then we have Darkanians. Their special ability also is connected to the Planetary Institute. As you can see, when they enter a new sector, colonize a planet in a new sector, they get resources for it, and so they have a great objective in expanding quickly and throughout the whole map, which I think is fun.
Yeah, they should. I think they will perform well with the sector's main objective.
Yep.
They are the faction that starts in 2 research areas.
Oh, finally a faction which starts at level 1 in 2 technologies. This expansion is going to add so much.
And it's going to entirely disrupt the game as we know it, I think, because even just the fact that QAC actions will no longer be available, this will dramatically change the way in which I mean, they're not available unless you enter a portal, of course.
Yeah,
but
this makes a great difference. So you can't be sure to get every one of them, because you have to decide in which portal you will be active. It comes with a cost to enter a portal, comes with a cost. And yeah, in the moment it is 5 victory points to pay to enter a portal. So you need to decide if it's worth it to enter it. And of course you need to be in range to enter a portal. And they are spread over the map, so it's not that easy to reach every portal in the game. And if it's late in the game, you start to calculate, is it worth the 5 points I have as an entry cost? And if other players are already in there, they will see it coming. If I enter the portal as an action and then I want to do something, the other players just grab it away before I can take it. So there are a lot of interesting decisions and a lot of timing aspects. And I quite enjoy the playtesting so far.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I cannot wait to play it. And I think many of our listeners feel the same, to the point that somebody asked us, how does one get to be a part of the playtest for the expansion? Is that even possible?
I'm not sure when we will have a greater community for playtesting. I meet with the publisher this Thursday, and I don't know, maybe we'll discuss it there. But I can say that the expansion will be published earliest in 23, because next year will be a Terra Mystica year. There will be some applications. And so the publisher already made it clear that the expansion isn't to be expected before 2023. So yeah, maybe the playtest has to wait a little bit, because it has to be coordinated, and normally the publisher does this, because it's a great amount of work going into creating the forum and to keep contact with all interested playtesters. So normally the publisher does this for me, and since he has no resources so far, I know at Thursday we will talk about it.
All right. Well,
you're working on a lighter version of Terra Mystica now, right?
That was someone else. They approached us and said we have a family version, and this will be published next year.
I see.
We playtested it, but it was good. So yeah, we said, okay, that's good. I see. Maybe you know the game from the German publisher Hans im Glück. What is it called? Stone Age. They have this game. I think it's available. They had this version, the Stone Age Junior, and this wasn't the same game designer as the original game. So that's something that publishers like to do. And
sure.
I agree to.
Sure. Simone, you were saying?
No, I was just saying that we'll be here waiting for when the play tests start. I'd say when that happens, give us a shout. But no, seriously, I have to say that one good thing that happened during the pandemic is that it created the perfect storm for Gaia Online to really take off, because it really wasn't a thing before 2019, and it has now created a very active, very community of players. I would say very strong players.
Too strong recently.
Well, too strong. Yeah, too strong for us, because we used to be good. We're not good anymore.
No, we're declining. We're declining.
But this is to say that there's plenty of people out there who I know could do a very good job on a playtesting for an expansion. So we really hope to see that work out.
We can find someone, some quality people for you. If you want us.
Yeah, better than us, better player than us.
No commission tax. Okay, Helge.
Yeah,
I think that we can say thank you a lot for being here with us. It's been very fun and a bit of a honor for me, at least.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, can I end this with this quote from Arun again?
That is exactly what I wanted to do.
All right, so go for it.
No, you do.
All right, so Arun ended his email that he sent us, in which he asked, can you ask Helge this? Can you ask Helge that? And then in the end he said, all in all, 100 respect to Jens, you and your team for designing this monster of a game. In my opinion, the greatest game of all time. I have to say that I mostly agree with Arun. I was totally enthralled the first time I got to play Gaia Project, and I think, at least in the context of Eurogames, Gaia Project really made a difference. Really, it set a record. And after going Gaia Project, I was not able to go back playing, Puerto Rico, Terraforming Mars, all games that I loved. But, in my life as a gamer, there is a pre-Gaia Project and a post-Gaia Project period, I would say.
That's great to hear. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure. I can just add that, well, it's, no, I will just add this, not a personal quote, but it's, it's fantastic to hear that in 2021, with such a bulimic market of games market, with games coming out, I mean, a bazillion games a year, 100 games a month. It's
you can play.
Yeah, it's somehow soothing. It's refreshing to know that there are people like you and Jens, and also people at Feuerland, which believe in your project. This is not to underestimate, that take their time in designing and polishing and testing again, and pouring lots and lots of energy into making their games so special and destined to last this long. This is very important for me as a person in general and as a player, and I would really like to thank both of you for this huge effort that you do. I believe for yourself first, but also for all of us. So, well, congratulations and thanks again.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, yeah, I think to respond to that, when I look back at my career as a gamer, a player, which started quite early because my father, as a student, he invited all his friends to us at home, and then we, as small kids, already played these big games at this time. But when I look back, there were always some games that I played over years and years and years, and I liked it to be able to go back to a setting, and it's a familiar thing, and still it's something new. And I wanted to create something like that with Terra Mystica and, of course, with Gaia project. So a game where you can return to, and it's still fresh and still new and still challenging after many, many plays. So yeah, and I hope with an expansion, we will keep this challenge fresh for everyone. And I hope you can enjoy the game even longer.
Yeah, sure. we hope that too, and we are rather optimistic about that, I'd say.
Yes, we are. Okay, so thanks again. Is there something which you will finally say to the fans of your board game before we say hello to you?
Yeah, well, hello out there, everyone. I hope you all came good through the year, because it was quite challenging outside of gaming. And I think when I speak from my experience, to meet other people, still, if it was only online, but to meet other people to play together, it was quite enjoyable in these past 2 years. And I hope you all could enjoy spending a lot of playing time together to have fun and yeah, have a good time. So have a good time, everybody, and take care of yourself.
All right. Thanks a lot. I think this is it. I think everybody who has listened to this has not been disappointed. I'm sure that all the Gaia Project fans out there will be really happy. And so, Matteo, to you for some concluding remarks.
Okay, so, well, no, not much to say, actually. Thanks a lot again for Helge for being here. Please bring our respect and say hello to Jens.
I do.
Absolutely.
And but also thanks to all of you who have been listening to this episode, and thanks to all of you for being part of this flourishing community of Gaia Project. So hear you on the next episode of Gaia Project. Bye.
Bye.